Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm here live on this. What is the day? The 23rd day of September. It was the 21st of September. Just kidding. Um, got a great show with you on for tonight. Man, there's a lot of news. It's like a fire hose. It's a fire hydrant. I was in Brentwood, Tennessee today, and this fire hydrant was broken and the fire department was trying to turn it off and it was shooting water 50, 60 feet across the highway. And just I was on the other side of the road and part of that water hit me. I mean, it's just a ton of water just spraying everywhere. That's how I was today in the news today. Jackson Dart will be the starter of the New York Giants. Talk a little bit about that. Mike Gundy got fired. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And since the last time I've talked to you, Bruce Pearl's retired. Yes, Bruce Pearl has retired. Get into that stuff a little bit later. Great game. People asking me, stopping me at work, asking me about what did I think about that game with the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens last night. I said that was a great one. I usually don't stay up that late on Monday nights to watch these games, but I did. I watched the end of it because I thought the Ravens were going to come back. But anyways, a lot to get to. Got the Power Five, and also I'll make this announcement before I go to the break. Andre Gibson, fan favorite Andre Gibson, will be back tomorrow. He's going to call in. I'm going to put up a phone here, or I may put it up over here by my microphone. And he's going to call in as he has computer problems. But it's going to be very cool radio style. Andre's going to call in and going to talk about the Titans and whatnot. I know Brian Callahan. I'll probably get to that story tomorrow. I'm going to stop calling plays. That's a step. I mean, the Titans are in real trouble right now. He's going to do that. Plus, he's wanting to comment. Billy Napier, Florida. What's going to happen there? Another guy on the hot seat. So, love Andre. Can't wait to bring him back on the program. He'll be on tomorrow about 30 minutes past the hour. So, let's take our first on the break. I'll hit the ground running, and we'll break down that Detroit game here in just a little bit here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, folks. I'm back here live. You know, I just want to say this. This was, I don't think I'm being hyperbole here. This is the most impressive road win for Detroit since Dan Campbell has been the coach. Now, I know that they played on opening night a few years ago. They played at Kansas City. Kansas City had some injuries coming into that game. I want to say Kelsey was banged up. Chris Jones was in the middle of a contract dispute. That was impressive still. It was still impressive by the Lions. But mind you, folks, that Lamar Jackson, prior to this game, has had three losses to the NFC in his whole career. He lost to fluky kind of games to the Giants. He lost to the Eagles, and that was it. That was last year. I mean, unbelievable record. This guy's been in the league since 2018, and the last time these two teams have played 2 years ago, 38-6. This game was over with midway through the third quarter. It was like 38-35. It was a ridiculous score. I mean, this was like a big-time college team on Austin Peay. That's where I went. But this was the most impressive road win, to run the ball, to physically run the ball like they did on the Baltimore Ravens. I was really at all by this performance here by this team here. I had to get the number right here in hand because I don't want to look like I'm exaggerating. 224 yards rushing against that Baltimore run defense. Unbelievable. I know that the Ravens had often had problems early in the season. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago when they lost to Buffalo, up in Buffalo, referring back just a few years ago. Remember when Tua beat them? That comeback Miami put on them in September in the last few minutes. They were up like 17 or something like that. I was referring that into the Buffalo Bills game and whatnot. But this particular win is different. I mean, like I said, 224 yards rushing. It's one thing if you got a red hot quarterback and Lamar turns the ball. Lamar did not turn the ball. He played a pretty decent game. Now, Derrick Henry, he had his fumble there. Henry, I love Henry. I mean, that guy's a great player, probably a Hall of Famer. He does try to do too much sometimes, and it caught up with him, essentially. It caught up with him in this particular game. It's his third fumble here, and he's fumbled every week. But anyways, again, 224 yards rushing here. At one time, they were up late in the game. What are they up? 14 points here. This really impressive. Let's listen to Dan Campbell. And like I said, I did pick the Ravens to win because every time I pick against the Ravens in the NFC, other than last year, I did pick against them against Philadelphia. I thought Philadelphia was built to beat them, and they were. Last year, this year, I wasn't going to get beat by this, But listen to Dan Campbell giving out footballs afterwards. They got 7 sacks. This Muhammad guy, defensive end, he was not even had a job last year. Picked up off the street. Great call by Brad Holmes here. Gets a few sacks here. Gets a game ball here from Dan Campbell. Listen.
Hey, 2.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, and 2 TFLs. Mr. Muhammad.
You know what? I want to thank every player, every coach, everybody that's in this organization, because about a year ago, I was home. I was on the couch. So when you get an opportunity, you make sure you take advantage of it. Yeah. I want to also thank the guys in my room for helping me out this week. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did tonight.
Wow. I was hoping I'd gotten more out of that. But, basically he was just saying it's a gritty performance. It tests the willpower of this team. Now you got to look at them. Listen, they're back in it. Now, they're going to be in my Power 5. I want to tell you that right now. This team adjusted quickly. I said this at the very beginning of the season. I said, I think they'll go excuse me, sip of this water here. I'm a little long-winded. I said at the very beginning of the season, I think that they will go 11-6. They'll lose the tiebreaker to Green Bay. Green Bay will win the division. Now they may win the bit. Who knows? But I said they'll get off to a slow start. They did. Looked very, I don't know, crackly, rusty, lack of communication, you name it, during the preseason. Of course, we saw it big in the Green Bay game. They recovered quickly. Did the Chicago defense in, although Chicago had injuries, wasn't really sure what that performance would mean playing against this Raven team. I played the cuts last week. Brian Branch said, listen, guys, let's not get too excited this week. The safety there, who's playing great, by the way. Man, what a pickup. Another good draft pick by General Manager Brad Holmes. But anyways, let's not get up ahead of ourselves, Brian Branch says. We have a big game coming up next week. We got Baltimore next week. And, of course, they really showed up and showed out here. Like I said, 7 sacks by the defense. And, of course, what does Jim Harbaugh say? He had a comment on Derrick Henry's fumble. And here's his quote after the game.
Derrick Henry's been able to take care of the ball throughout his career to this point this year. Fumbling has been an issue. I mean, what do you even say to him, considering this hasn't been the norm for him?
Yeah, it hasn't been, and I don't think it'll be going forward. But we got to get it fixed. I mean, that was kind of a blind shot there. I thought he had the ball in good position. You know, I thought the defender got a good look at it though, because it was kind of a retrace cutback play. So a little bit the perfect storm, but still, I mean, we just want to protect the football. You know, all our guys do, and we gotta do it. We gotta be good at it.
Yeah, basically saying he got a blind shot there, and I apologize about the volume there, but he got a blind shot there. Got to take care of the football. I know that Henry wants to get the big plays. He's got, and he knows what he's got to do. You know, he can't carry it high and tight. He can't carry it that high. He's too big. He's a big target. I thought that would be an issue when he first got drafted, but overall, he's been pretty good. But just here lately, he's had some big fumbles. And I think what he's got to do is not press so much to make the big play, lean down, do the 2 hands, not the high and tight like this, the 2 hands like you're in short yardage situations, and just basically be that power. But he don't want to hear that because he can't break those big 40, 50-yard runs. But if you're caught, particularly in the fourth quarter, I tell him, hey, man, we cannot have this happen. And running back coach has got to talk to him about it. Nobody's more upset than he is. Again, this team, I'm not too concerned about them. They lost last year to the Raiders early on, went on, win the division, and made a good postseason run push. The other side of it is maybe Lamar's just making too much money, and they're not being able to get younger on that front end of their defense. Remember, Buffalo ran on them pretty well, and now the Lions have ran on them pretty well. So they've got to address that D-line and do something about that. That is coming somewhat of a bugaboo. This is very un-Baltimore-like. Normally, as the weather gets cooler, they get better. That defense gets better. I still think this defense will get better. I still believe in Baltimore Ravens defense. Don't get me wrong. But to give up that kind of rushing yards with this defensive line is just not acceptable for the Ravens standards. Anybody up there will tell you that on the coaching staff. So that's something else to monitor as far as Lamar's salary versus what they're putting in that side of the ball. They've spent more money on the other side of the ball. Let's see how this thing plays out. But they've got the Chiefs next week. I'm leaning Chiefs right now because they play Monday night. I know they're going to go in there ticked off and ready to go, but so are the Chiefs. Chiefs going to be ticked off too. They're both 1-2. Keep that in mind, okay? All righty then. Great game, though. Man, what a game. Let's see. Okay, we talked about the 5 biggest games. We talked about the 5 biggest games, and the 2 that myself and the Mad New Yorker disagreed on, per se. The 2 that we disagreed on were the LA Chargers and the Denver Broncos and the 49ers and the 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals game. Now, watching those games in real time, of course, I'm pulling for my teams to win. I always want to be right, you know. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is close right here. I thought Denver was going to win that game. You know, I look at Denver, for one thing, the LA Chargers, Najee Harris torn his Achilles. You could see it. He goes down when the ball's handed off as a non-contact injury, grabbing that Achilles. It looked bad from the get-go. Same thing with did not look good there with Nick Bosa with the 49ers. But putting those 2 teams together, this is an example. Both of those games are classic examples, prime examples of quarterback head coach relationships and systems that fit perfectly. Yes, I said the 49ers too. The 49ers and the LA Chargers, Sundays was a prime example of that. Like I said, Nick Bosa got hurt, 49ers. With Mac Jones himself, with the PCL sprain, Mac Jones. But he's getting rid of the ball quickly. This system is perfect for Mac Jones. If he keeps playing like this, is there going to be a quarterback controversy with him or Brock Purdy? He's getting rid of the ball in like 2.1 seconds or something. This is perfect for him. But anyways, Mac Jones, PCL sprain, had this, like I said, he had this brace on his leg in the middle of the game. Note the 49ers are also without Juan Jennings, and of course, Brandon Ayuk's been out for a while. And I know that Arizona had their share of cornerback injuries, but still, this was a gritty win for San Francisco. Man, they had a safety late in the game. The defense, without Nick Bosa, had to get a stop, got the ball back. Mac Jones rallies them back, gets the go-ahead field goal, and ultimately the game winner. Then you look at Justin Herbert. I mentioned the fact that Najee Harris having a torn Achilles goes down in the game, and also Micaiah Beckham got a concussion in the game, not to mention the fact that Rashawn Slater, yeah, you heard that right, Rashawn Slater has been out since the preseason. Remember, he got hurt in training camp there, and they sacked Herbert 5 times in that game, and he had an interception. And they still like I said, they were down a touchdown. They played Monday night. That's probably why. That's why I mentioned that with the Mad New Yorker. They played Monday night, so they're a little bit fatigued there. This LA Charger team, but good chemistry, coach, quarterback chemistry, system perfect for quarterback, rally back, win, get a late touchdown, 10 points late to get the go-ahead 23-20 win there. And again, with the 1-point win with the 49ers, 2 examples of that. Couldn't be more impressed with those 2 performances. Very tight, low-score games. Really like it. Now, that being said, I do think both of these teams are falling apart. I think that the 49ers losing a guy of the caliber of a Nick Bosa, they're going to have to make some phone calls. I thought about it today driving in on the way home from work, and I thought to myself, well, what about Kayvon Thibodeau from the 49ers? Could you give up a 3rd-round pick? Would that be asking too much? I know he was a 1st-round pick, but listen, they've got Brian Burns on that team, and also they've got who was the other guy? They've also got Abdul Carter. Of course, they drafted him early in the draft as well this past year with the number 4 overall pick and whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. Number 3 pick. Either way, could you get a 3rd-round pick and maybe a future round pick there for Kayvon Thibodeau to play in the place of a Nick Bosa? You're going to need a major. We saw that. I just got done talking about the Ravens game, that the difference that the Lions defense looks with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson. Remember, he got hurt last year playing off of this Muhammad guy, who was just the player that they brought in off the street here from last year that's flourishing last night. Got some sacks there on Lamar Jackson. Hutchinson got a sack himself, was in the backfield all night long. You need that dominant pass rusher. If they're thinking Super Bowl, I had them going to the Super Bowl. I'm having second thoughts about that, the fact that Bosa's hurt. But they did get the win. They're 3-0, 3-0. 2 of those games on the road, another one against a tough divisional opponent who always plays well at the beginning of the season in Arizona. Do you go after him, or you go after by the trade deadline, which is in November, which is going to be huge this year, or do you go after a guy like a Myles Garrett, up the ante? Garrett's 30 years old. You could see this team as a big win this week, but he's not going to be there for that full rebuild. I don't think he will be. I know they gave him a lot of money in the extension in the offseason, but could the Browns use 2 more first-round picks and maybe a third or something like that at a later time? Yes, they could. They could. And put him on that 49er defense, led by Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator, I think that they can still do some things. I like what Mac Jones is doing. I like the fact that Brock Purdy is, Brock Purdy has been out a couple of weeks, and they're 2-0 since Purdy's been hurt. I think they're going to be fine. Christian McCaffrey hanging in there. They're going to get Ayuk back. They're going to get, obviously, Juwan Jennings back and George Kittle back as well. So they're not – Kittle didn't even play in that game. They still won. Pearshaw had a good game. Ricky Pearshaw, second-year player out of Florida, over 100 yards. He's perfect for that offense, and so is Mac Jones. Good job. Good pickup by the 49ers to pick him up and sign him. He's getting life. Maybe Mac Jones can be the next Sam Darnold or perhaps I don't know, Baker Mayfield, who's 3-0, by the way. So that's an interesting take there. We'll just have to let it play out there. Okay. All righty then. So, by the way, and so I said within the first 5 games, the Mad New Yorker didn't agree with me, but I said within the first 5 games that Jackson Dart will be playing at some point this season, probably within the first 5 games. I'd prefer him to be starting when Andrew Thomas is back. By the way, they may have to get another left tackle. Thomas is constantly hurt. He comes back and he gets hurt again. But he does have a quick release going back to Dart. But, man, this team, very inconsistent, more bad than good out of the Giants there. Another disappointing outing for this team. I know it was against Kansas City, but it just seems like a putt-putter offense. It just seems to stutter and stutter and stutter. Scatterboo, I think you can get him the ball the more in the flat. I'd use him like an H-back there. Move him around all over the place like a Chris Cooley used to play for the then Washington Redskins. You got neighbors out there. You got some plays out there to be made for this offense. I know that left tackle situation is dire, but, Russell Wilson, he's been seeing this for the last few years. He's good in spots. He had a play the other night. It didn't have nothing to do with no defense. It just looked like the ball was just shot out. My dad would call it duck. It looked like it was so short. I'm thinking, who is he throwing to, man? It just needs a player. I understand and plus, Brian DeBall and him and Joe Sheehan, of course, both the general manager and the head coach are both on a major hot seat right now. They're looking at this situation. Man, we got to make something happen fast here. So I wish it was at a better spot for them where they had Thomas healthy, but they're going to go ahead and take a chance and put Jackson Dart in. Let's see how it plays out. And I was texting the Mad New Yorker on Sunday night. I said, because Scottaboo got the touchdown because he called him Scamaboo the other day when they drafted the guy. But or back in April. But I said, they are the boringest team to watch, I think, in the NFL. I know there's some boring teams out there. Tennessee's pretty boring. Cleveland's boring. But, the Giants always seem to be a boring team, a team that really can't run the ball. They've always been about defense and short passing and trying to win plays at the end. They're always on TV, though, because they're in that big market. So I can understand it. I just hope that Dart does not get hurt. And the O-line thing is somewhat squared away. But time's running out for the coach, and they need something to happen. So it is what it is. I feel vindicated on my predictions, if you know what I mean. Okay. So I got to all that stuff. Let's go to the Power 5, if I can find it. Now, take my time in here. Okay, the Rams. Listen, the Rams, and I talked about this before when I made my pick to pick the Eagles. The Rams, folks, had to come here to Nashville in the Central Time Zone on Sunday a couple of weeks ago, fly back to LA, practice all week, then come for another early start. So your body clock's way off here, even if they stayed here, which I don't think they did. But because it's Central, that's too far away from here to Philadelphia. That would be ridiculous. So my guess is they've flown back, then they've flown to Philadelphia for a 1 o'clock Eastern start time game. I was thinking, okay, and I played this guy on fantasy thinking he's going to kill it, and Saquon Barkley, and of course he didn't. Yes, this is no mistake. That's why I had to emphasize it when I was talking about the Lions running for that 224 against the Ravens. 54 yards rushing for Saquon Barkley. Yes, 54 yards rushing. They shut him down practically. I mean, the Rams defense shut him down, and they're moving the ball up and down the field on the Eagles in the first half, and this thing looks like it's going to be a blowout here at one point here. And, of course, we know what happened. I'd call it a fluke play. The block field goal goes back for a touchdown, which would have been the game-winning field goal. That being said, very impressive performance here by the Rams. I still got them at number 5 in my Power 5, okay? The Rams will be number 5 in my Power 5. They proved they could play and beat anybody. Need a little help at corner. They may be another team that may make a run out of corner, maybe go up with L'Jarius Sneed here in Tennessee at the trade deadline. I hope they don't give away anybody. I know they gave away Browning today for practically nothing, like a 6th-round pick, but that means never mind, to the Jets or somebody. But anyways, I'm very impressed with them. I'm just impressed with the way they play. I think they're only going to get better. Their defense is really good up front. I like the running game. I like the 1-2 receiver set. Looks like Stafford back injured, back is holding up. Check. Coaching. Rams are pretty good. Rams will probably catch the 49ers if the 49ers keep getting these injuries in the NFC West. So I've got the Rams at number 5. Very impressed with this Rams team. Okay? Love what they're doing up front with that defense and Jared Verse and that group here. Okay, number 4. Now, this Detroit team, I know you said, man, you really high on the team that, maybe you're leaning too much into this Monday Night Football. Listen, they scored 38 points at the Baltimore Ravens, and I mentioned earlier, 224 yards rushing. This team, this is in the NFL. This is not college football. They have scored 90 points in 2 games. Yes, the coordinators are fine now. The adjustments have been made. The Detroit Lions have scored 90 points in 2 games. All right? I mentioned the fact that they got 7 sacks on the fastest quarterback in the NFL last night. Looking so much better defensively now that they're healthy up front. They've got the back end with Branch and forgot that other guy's name, that other cornerback. I think his name's Joseph. Either way, they are back to being a legit Super Bowl contender. They may be better in Green Bay at the end. They've got the coach there. I mentioned it last week that Dan Campbell's just a very assertive coach. He gets things done. He gets everything out of those players, and he's not afraid to address the coaches and make those adjustments when they make those adjustments here. So they're up to number 4. They went from a team that not sure what's going to happen to them to back to looking like better than the team than they had last year because they're healthy on the defensive side. So they're number 4. Rams number 5. Detroit Lions number 4 in my Power 5. Number 3, Still think this is a strong team. They did have a hiccup against the Cleveland Browns. Listen, the Cleveland Browns beat the 49ers on their Super Bowl here a couple of years ago. They beat the Ravens last year. The Browns can beat people every now and then. They got you go up there to Cleveland, particularly late in the year, but this particular game was good weather. They're good up front, man. I talked about Mason Graham, and we know about Myles Garrett, and know about the back end with Denzel Ward. Green Bay got caught slipping. They were looking ahead. They had a 10-point lead early in that game, and a little sleep at the wheel. They've had some injuries on their offensive line. We know about the receiver injuries, but they're going to be amped up. They play well this week. They will stomp Dallas in the ground. I still got them at number 3. I think that they're going to be healthy. That defense is going to be rolling. Even though they lost, I still got them 3 on my Power 5. Okay, even at 2-1, I got them over a team like a banged up 49ers and like a banged up Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm still not quite sure about the Colts here, but I may talk about them a little bit tomorrow. Anyways, okay. So number 2 is Philadelphia. Now they fell to 2 for listen. The Eagles. A lot of people are not talking about the Eagles now. Yeah, hey, great second half, 100 yards receiving for AJ Brown last week, and I said he'll have a breakout game. I said he'll score about 30 points. They had 33. I said it'd be 30-27. It's 33-26. Pretty close to that game, right? Well, AJ Brown did do that, but they are getting off the slow starts. They could still lose to Tampa next week. That may be one of our top 5 we'll talk about, but they're 26th in yards in offense. So they're towards the bottom of the league in offensive efficiency. They're just a sluggish team. They don't know if they want to be a running team or a more of a balanced passing attack. They're going to stick with that power running game. But this coordinator is not quite as good as the other coordinator there. We saw this when they're changing coordinators. They've had this last time they was in the midst of a coordinator change. They went out in the first round of the playoffs. They lost the 4 or 5 last games, and they almost Sirianni almost got fired. Of course, they came back and won the Super Bowl last year. So they fell down in my rankings to number 2, and they can get back up to number 1 if they get it back together offensively. But I've got them at number 2 as of now in my Power 5. And number 1, the Buffalo Bills. I mean, best in yards, best offense in the NFL and in yards per game, 4th in points in the NFL, also 3rd in turnovers for defensive side. They're top 10 in defense and yards allowed. There's still room for improvement. They still got Joey Bosa on that team. Ed Oliver. I think some guys have been banged up on the defensive side. They had some players step in. I think they're going to get better. I think a lot of these teams are going to get better. Okay. So let's go back over the Power 5 again. Number 1, I think Buffalo's the number 1 team right now. Number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Knocked them down to 2 because they're 26th in yards. But, hey, they're champs. They're playing great and everywhere else. The defensive line, back half, the corners, pretty good. Anyways, number 3, Green Bay. Defense still playing pretty well. I still think they're an explosive team. Still like their resume up to this point. I think they'll bounce back. And number 4, that's number 3. Number 4, Detroit. Like I said, love what they did. 90 points last 2 games. Number 5, love what the LA Rams are doing. They can beat anybody out there. Okay? So that's my Power 5. I know it's a little controversial because some of them teams are undefeated, but honorable mention, Tampa. Tampa got injuries everywhere. They keep mounting. Mike Evans will be out again this week. So there's only so many injuries that you can withhold without start losing some games. Also, the Colts, I don't know if I really impressed that much with Daniel Jones, although they played well. Those are honorable mention teams. Of course, the 49ers, just mention the 49ers, but man, they seem to be falling apart everywhere. They'll get back in my Power 5 probably in another week or so, okay? If they keep winning, especially without Nick Bosa. So that's my reasoning for those honorable mention players and whatnot. Like I said, it was a great weekend in the NFL. One of the better weekends. A crazy weekend. A lot of block kicks and stuff for touchdowns. Haven't seen anything quite like that. But anyways, in other news, Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy was fired. Now, things kind of got south here. This is not really a college segment. I'll get some more into the college game tomorrow. I'll have Andre Gibson come on the program tomorrow. Coming on about 30 minutes past the hour, we'll talk about Florida Gators and Billy Napier and all that stuff, and do a little Titans talk. But Mike Gundy was fired. Long time, man. He was 21 years with the Oklahoma State football program here. Man, they were 1-2 to get off the season start. 69-3 loss. I mean, that tells you that they're really off from the competition when you get beat like that. That 69-3 loss to Oregon, that says that you're not even FBS school. That's saying how far you've dropped. And I didn't even catch this, but I know they had a rough year last year. He was 3-9 last year. Not keeping up with the transfer portal, not utilizing NIL, and maybe NIL is just an issue with money. But sometimes it's just that the coach gets stale there. You see this a lot in college football. The Texas move off Mike Brown. Things got stale with him. Things happen in sports here. So I'm sure they'll bounce back. He'll bounce back. But I just think the guy needed to change the scenery. At one time, about 10 years ago, he was a candidate to become the Tennessee. It was rumored to be a candidate to become the Tennessee head coach. He probably should have made that move, but I think he got like a raise to stay at Oklahoma State. They're winning 9 and 10 games, keeping them competitive, putting out prospects and whatnot. But I've got to play you with Mike Gundy, who looks a lot different now than he did then because he's got the mullet here. I think he's a Theo Vaughn fan. I don't know when the mullet came back, but all of a sudden, the last few years, the mullet has came back. But here's him back in 2007. It's one of his famous rants that's been played over and over forever and ever. Listen up.
Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. Don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then say that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true. And then to say that we made that decision because Donovan Woods, because he threatened to transfer, that's not true. So get your facts straight. And I hope someday you have a child and somebody downgrades them and belittles them, and you have to look them in the eye and say, you know what? It's okay. They're supposed to be mature adults, but they're really not. Who's the kid here? Who's the kid here? Are you kidding me? And that's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
People up there clapping. I didn't catch that part. But that's been played over on TV 1,000 times with the other great one quote. A friend of mine called me, Michael Limbaugh. No relation to Rush Limbaugh, my friend from church from back in the day. He called me this afternoon, and he's asking me, he said, do you remember those Coors Light commercials where using guys like him or NFL coaches saying stuff like, we let them off the hook. what's his name? Oh God, Dennis Green, back when he was coaching with Arizona Cardinals, talking about the Bears, and the Bears are who we thought they are. Herman Edwards, you play to win the game. Who was the other one? I can't remember the. Of course, it'll come to me when I get off the program. But it was the coach, the Colts head coach here. Playoffs, Jim Moore Sr. Yeah, he said, we're just trying to win a game. I think it was like Peyton Manning's first year or something like that. Of course, they did. They fired him, and I think I can't remember who they got. I think it might have been Gundy, Tony Dungy after that. But one of the great rants of all time. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I guess it was saying something about a student newspaper saying one of the players was scared or something like that, and it comes out to be an all-time rant. But he's got the mullet now, and I just think he's gotten a little complacent there. He needs a change. They need a change. They'll find him a better coach. I think he'll get a job somewhere. He's got only 58 years. I can't believe that was 18 years ago. Time flies so fast. Golly, what happened to time? But, Mike Gundy gets fired there. He went to school there, played quarterback there. Been there 21 years. Big chunk of his life is at Oklahoma State. Everybody can use a change, So I hope the best for him. I hope the best for Oklahoma State. But I just thought that was an end of an era. I'm a man. I'm 40. Also, yesterday, or this may have happened today, but either way, Bruce Pearl. Yes, I said it. Bruce Pearl. Remember that this team was picked to potentially win a national championship last year. Final Four appearances. 65 years old, young, 65, great tan, great shape. Abruptly retires from Auburn University, and I thought I thought to myself, well, if it's not a health problem that we don't know about, I don't understand why you want to do it this close to the season. I hope he's not battling anything. I know that his son, what was his son's name? Is his son's name Stephen? His son, I think his name is, Stephen's taking over, 38-year-old son, taking over the program here, But I hope that's not the case. Otherwise, I wish he would have found a way to win a national championship. They got really close. They had the player. They're just a good player away, or maybe a second player away to complement your best player away from winning a national championship. I really thought Pearl was going to cut down the nets twice. But either way, man, I tell you, I was looking at some of my notes of Bruce Pearl. By the way, 2008 Coach of the Year, Adolph Rupp Cup. I don't know what that means. But he won the Horizon League Coach of the Year in 2002, 2003, and 2005. Four-time SEC Coach of the Year, 2006, 8, 22, and 25, which was last year. Just unbelievable. Great coach. I remember him in 2005 at University of Milwaukee, getting to the Sweet 16 that year, having that style of that pressing style offense. I remember watching that tournament with my dad, and I think, man, this dude right here, he is coaching his butt off, sweating, gotten these guys running up and down the court all over the place, playing that press, that full court press that they play. I thought, this guy's a pretty good coach. I bet he's going to get a job somewhere. And sure enough, Tennessee hires him that year when the tournament is over in 2005. It seemed like it wasn't that long ago after that particular season ended. And he comes in Tennessee and they play great immediately. They beat Florida. They beat Florida, number one team in the country. Remember, Florida goes on and wins 2 national championships with Joakim Noah, Al Horford, that group there. But he ended up beating that Florida with much less talent. I remember doing a sports show in Caxton, the Mad New Yorker, when he comes on the program on Thursday about us doing the sports show at Austin Peay back in them days, his first year in the league, and watching him sweat profusely at Tennessee, taking he used to wear the big super orange jacket, if you recall, going crazy there. And I thought, man, this guy going to have a heat stroke at it. He may stroke out. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't have a heart attack. I'm glad he didn't, air quotes, stroke out or whatever. Things went well. All of a sudden, the team was the number one team in the country at one time in 2008. They made several Sweet 16s, Elite 8 runs with Tennessee, getting very, very close to the Final Four. The talent started to get better. And then the incident happened with, which was so stupid on his part, and he'd be the first one to tell you that he the recruit incident with the barbecue. He wasn't allowed to have recruits, and that sounds stupid now. We're in this Alfred guys millions of dollars there in NIL money, but then the NCAA was like the police, and he panicked, told the guys to lie about it, got called, whatever, and he got the show calls for 3 years, 2011 to 14. Comes back. Remember, Auburn was nothing, laughing stock. Football school, they were good when they had Barkley. Well, shoot, that was the 80s, man. So comes to Auburn and, makes Auburn number one team, Final Four team type of team. And now, he's wanting to retire. Now, I think, and I wish this wouldn't be the truth, although I understand it. I understand the political environment we've been over the last 8, 10, 12 years has been heated. I've talked about it ad nauseum with athletes getting involved. And he said this publicly. He said, hey, man, my players stand for the flag around here. We're proud, blue collar people. This is a great country. He spoke out about, Jewish rights and everything, Israel stuff. Probably avenues he probably shouldn't have been in. But the guy's passionate, man. He's passionate about this stuff. But I got a sense that he not only is just about his son getting that job, but I think his son played on one of those teams, if I'm not mistaken. He was on the bench. That tells you how old I'm getting. That was back in 2005. His son, I want to say, was on some of them earlier teams that were fun to watch and got to the tournament with Tennessee. But I think it's about that. But being 65, he's a young 65, good tan, good shape. I think he's going to run for office there. I think he may try to go for that Senate seat. But by Tommy Tuberville, I think Tuberville's going to run for something else, maybe governor or something. But either way, I think he's going to go into politics. I wish he wouldn't do that. I wish he would have stayed coaching. But, you got to have it in your heart to do that. I mean, coaching takes a lot of hours. Recruiting takes a lot of, although I do hear that the head coaches don't do as much as the assistants, but it still takes a lot of your time, and you got to have in your heart to do it. I hope that he comes out and says what the deal was. I think he's going to go on. Hopefully he won't, but because I know that is a rough bet. I mean, life would have happened with the Charlie Kirk situation, whether you agree with him or not. The guy shouldn't have been shot like that, killed. But no, I do think that Bruce Pearl's probably going to go in that arena, and we'll probably hear that here shortly when because that would be next year if that comes up or not. So, but I enjoyed watching the guy. Like I said, I hated that what happened with him with Tennessee, although he brought it on himself. wish he could. He says I've had to work for everything. He's a guy never had nothing given to him. He always had to take the long way. I always saw him as underdog. He always saw his teams as underdogs. Never had the best talent. Had some talent. Never had the best talent. Always had to work from the ground up. Always a great interview, energetic guy, kind of guy you like to play for. I'd like to see him in the NBA, but with the way he is, and he's pretty open about his politics, he don't want the NBA people. Like, I think him and a guy like Greg Popovich would get into it. I think him and a guy like Steve Kerr wouldn't gel along too long. So, best of luck to the guy. I've always thought a lot of him, but it just caught me off guard with Bruce Pearl retiring like that because he's leaving on top. It's not like a situation like a Mike Gundy or even a Dabo Swinney, which I may dive more into that one tomorrow, losing his third game of the year as well. So, again, tomorrow, folks, I'll have Andre Gibson back on the program. He's going to call in. We're going to talk about Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan's going to be giving up play calling duties. This is a desperate attempt to he needs to do this. I mean, he's going to get fired. I mean, you cannot be there. He's up to 31st, second worst team in the league for his penalties called. He was first. You can't win anything if you got a rookie quarterback. But get his opinion on what the Titans should do in their situation. Get some Billy Napier talk, and just hearing great storytelling by the great Andre Gibson will be here tomorrow. And, of course, Thursday, we'll go over these games again with the Mad New Yorker. I'll play off what he's got to say about all this. We'll talk about that as well. So, folks, if you like the show, share the show. Oh, by the way, I still want to thank everybody, all my Uber riders who have been subscribing. I'm up to 109 YouTube subscribers. Now, I've only been driving Uber for about a year, a little bit over a year, 13, 14 months. And I was at 32 YouTube subscribers. Now I'm at over 100. And I want to thank my Uber riders for subscribing to Sports Scope here and meeting people from all over the country, all over the world for that matter. And you've really coming out from it. I really appreciate that. And a lot of you that subscribe are also tipping me, and I really appreciate that as well. Okay, I want to say that. And listen, folks, Friday night, by the way, I'll be at a high school football game, and I'll hopefully bring in some new interviewees from the program. This is a huge, huge high school game coming up Friday night in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Blackman High School, who's at Juan Jennings, by the way, went there. Blackman High School, who's big play for the 49ers, but also a friend of mine, her son plays for Oakland High School in Murfreesboro, undefeated. They are killing everybody. Her son plays for my friend Gloria. That's going to be a great game. Going to that game Friday night, got my chair ready. I'm already doing my little schedule around it and everything to set up in them bleacher seats. I got to be able to get my But I'm probably going to bring some of those young men on and interview them, and I'm going to try to bring back on Julian Nurick, who's a 3-star player, who's playing for Ezell Harding, 3-star player quarterback here, and talk about his scholarship offers as well. I need to check out my man Julian as well. So again, a lot of stuff going on. Still doing a lot of marketing for this program. And I'm working my butt off, but things are starting to settle in. Got the new apartment and the studio. You see, it looks good. I don't have any blotches there. Hopefully, I can keep this thing like it is. But have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, here on the Real Sports Scope.